Hello everyone, this is Glenda Winkleman and welcome back to Creative Grandma. It's Stitch of the Week time and today we're going to learn stitch number 99 called the Cozy Cluster Stitch. This is an excellent pattern if you need a gift in a hurry. June weddings are over, but it's an excellent pattern if you need to make like a wedding afghan. I have this classic white sample here which would make an excellent wedding gift if you make a beautiful afghan out of this stitch in pure white or an off-white. Just a gorgeous pattern. These are all number 4 medium weight yarns. They're Red Heart Super Savers and I used a size H8 hook for my samples today. Now when I do the video and show you how to do this stitch today, I bumped up to a size 10J so you could see the stitches a little bit better. So that's my first sample. My second sample I used white and then I used a multicolor. This is Red Heart Super Saver and this is color number Ocean number 995. Just a beautiful multi of blues and just a wonderful coloration here. So this one I started with white and then I changed colors every row. White, ocean, and you can see more pronounced the stitch pattern where the single crochet goes over and the next row you put your clusters in between those single crochet and the chain one space. So just a nice beautiful pattern when you do 2 colors. Now my third sample here I made using Red Heart Super Saver stripes and this was color Retro Stripes in color number 4971. Now I didn't make it big enough to get to the pink and the orange color, but this is a beautiful coloration when worked up into a pattern. So just a nice showing of some of the different yarns. The self-striping yarn is excellent because you don't have to change colors and I love those self-striping patterns. So for today I decided to use Studio Classic by Nicole in this beautiful shade of soft gold. This is color number SS3023-41. Just a nice beautiful soft gold color. Now I already have my loop on my hook. I just tied a double knot. You can start your yarn any way you wish. You can use a slip knot. So again, we need to chain 10 to start our sample. So yarn over the hook, pull it through the loop. This is your first chain and this does not count as a chain. Yarn over the hook, pull it through, that's 2. Yarn over the hook, pull it through, that's 3. Continue until you have a chain with a total of 10 chains and I'll be right back to start row 1. I did forget to mention that this stitch pattern has a multiple of 2. So if you wanted to make a larger project, you would just chain 2 again and just keep chaining 2, like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 until you have an even number of however wide you want to make your chain and then you start your pattern. So this pattern again is a multiple of 2. So for my sample I just chained 10 and to start row 1 we're going to skip this first chain. Now if you're new to crocheting this loop does not count as a chain, so this would be your first chain and we want to insert our hook into that second chain from hook and we're going to work a single crochet. Yarn over the hook, pull it through that chain. You have 2 loops. Yarn over the hook and pull it through 2 loops. That's your single crochet. We're going to chain 1. You're going to skip this next chain, insert into the next chain, right into the top loop, top thread of that chain and work a single crochet. And we're just going to repeat that across our chain. So chain 1. You're going to skip the next chain, insert your hook under the top loop of that next chain and work a single crochet. We're going to chain 1. Skip that next chain, insert under the top loop of that next chain and work a single crochet. We're going to chain 1. Skip that next chain, we're over to our last chain, insert under the top loop of that last chain and work a single crochet. So very easy, simple first row. So for row 2 we're going to turn our work and we're only going to be working into the chain 1 spaces in between those single crochet. So we're going to start row 2. Now row 2s and row 3 will be our repeat rows. So to start row 2, we're going to start with a chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. We're going to turn our work. The chain 3 counts as our first double crochet and lines up with that beginning single crochet. So again, for row 2, we're only working in the chain 1 spaces between those single crochet. So now we're going to make our cluster stitch, yarn over the hook, insert it underneath that chain 1 space, right between the first single crochet and the next single crochet. Go underneath that chain 1. Do not work in it, work under it. So just insert your hook from front to back underneath the chain 1 space, yarn over the hook, pull it back through, yarn over the hook, and pull it through 2 loops. What we're doing is we're working 3 double crochet into the same space, and we're leaving the last loop on the hook. So this was the first one. Now we're going to do that 2 more times. Yarn over the hook, insert it into that same chain 1 space, front to back, yarn over the hook, pull it back through, yarn over the hook, and pull it through 2 loops. You now have 3 loops on your hook, and they will remain on your hook. We need to make 1 more, yarn over the hook, insert into that same chain 1 space, front to back, yarn over the hook, pull it back through, yarn over the hook, and pull it through 2 loops. You now have 4 loops on your hook. So yarn over and pull through all 4 loops on your hook. You just made your cluster stitch. We're going to chain 1. We're going to work a cluster stitch, chain 1 into the next 2 chain 1 spaces. Then we're just going to work a cluster stitch into that last one. So let's begin. Yarn over the hook, insert into that next chain 1 space, yarn over the hook, pull it back through, yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops only, and 2 loops remain on your hook. Yarn over the hook, insert it from front to back through that chain 1 space, yarn over the hook, pull it back through, yarn over the hook, and pull it through 2 loops. You now have 3 loops on your hook, and they remain on your hook. Yarn over the hook, insert from front to back through that chain 1 space, yarn over the hook, bring it back through, yarn over the hook, and pull it through 2 loops. You now have 4 loops on your hook, yarn over the hook, and pull through all 4 loops. You just made your cluster stitch. You're going to chain 1. We're going to do that again. Yarn over the hook, skip the next single crochet, insert from front to back in that next chain 1 space, right underneath the chain 1 space, yarn over the hook, bring it back through, yarn over the hook, and pull it through 2 loops. You have 2 loops on your hook, and they remain on your hook. Yarn over the hook, insert from front to back through that chain 1 space, yarn over the hook, bring it back through, yarn over the hook, and pull it through 2 loops. You have 3 loops on your hook, and they remain on your hook. Yarn over the hook, insert into that same chain 1 space, front to back, yarn over the hook, pull it back through that space, yarn over the hook, and pull it through 2 loops. You have 4 loops remaining on your hook, yarn over the hook, and pull through all 4 loops. Your cluster stitch is made. We're going to chain 1. Now we're over to our last chain 1 space. So we're going to make 1 more cluster stitch into this chain 1 space. So yarn over the hook, insert into that last chain 1 space right underneath it, front to back, yarn over the hook, bring it back through, yarn over the hook, and pull through 2 loops. You have 2 loops on the hook, and they remain on the hook. Yarn over the hook, insert into that same chain 1 space, front to back, yarn over the hook, pull it back through, yarn over the hook, and pull it through 2 loops. You now have 3 loops on your hook, and they remain. Yarn over the hook, insert into that same chain 1 space, front to back, yarn over the hook, pull it back through, yarn over the hook, and pull it through 2 loops. You have 4 loops on the hook, yarn over the hook, and pull it through all 4 loops. Now when you get to the end of the row, you do not chain 1 after your cluster. All you work is a cluster stitch. And then we have 1 single crochet remaining. which is right here, and sometimes people have a hard time figuring out where that last stitch is. Now, usually at the end of the row, you'll see this little bar going across. I call it the side rainbow. That shows me that's my last stitch right here. And you'll see your 2 loops where it kind of looks like a heart shaped. And we're going to work a double crochet into this last single crochet. So yarn over the hook, you're going to go underneath both of the top loops. So you have 2 loops on your hook there. Yarn over the hook, pull it through the top of that stitch. Yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops, yarn over the hook and pull it through 2 loops. You just made your ending double crochet. And you can see how pretty this is because it keeps the front of your row and the ending of your row tight against that cluster, and it just forms a really nice edge. So now we're going to work our row 3, which is the final row of the repeat. We're going to chain 1 and we're going to turn our work. We're going to skip this chain 1 space and we're going to insert our hook into the top of that first stitch, and we're going to work a single crochet. Yarn over the hook, pull it through the stitch. You have 2 loops, yarn over the hook and pull through 2 loops. You just made your single crochet. We're going to chain 1. You're going to skip this next cluster, which it's a big stitch here in the center, but if you look at the top, here's your cluster, the top of the cluster stitch, and here's your chain 1, which is a little bit smaller of a chain. You're just going to insert your hook right between the first cluster and the next cluster, and you're going underneath that chain 1. You're not going in it, you're going under it. Insert from front to back, yarn over the hook, pull it back through that chain 1 space. You have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over the hook and pull through 2 loops. You just made your single crochet. We're going to chain 1. You're going to skip that next cluster up here, and you're going underneath that next chain 1 space in between the current cluster and the next cluster. So insert your hook from front to back underneath that chain 1 space and work a single crochet. You're going to chain 1. You're going to skip this next cluster and you're going to work underneath the next chain 1 space between the current cluster and the next cluster. So insert your hook from front to back underneath that chain 1 space and work a single crochet. You're going to chain 1. We're over to our end cluster. We're going to skip this end cluster, and then you'll notice that we have our turning chain 3 from the previous row. So what we're going to do is we're going to count up 1, 2, 3, or you find your cluster stitch and you go into the top chain right beside the cluster. Insert into the chain. Do not go into the space. You don't want to work there because it creates a gap. You want to go in the stitch, that top chain stitch itself, right in between that circle. Just insert right into that chain and work a single crochet. And that is all there is to this simple little pattern. You're going to repeat rows 2 and 3 for the pattern. Again, it just makes a wonderful nice edge when you do not chain that 1. You just work your double crochet right alongside of it. Just look how nice those edges are, because some patterns, they're terrible when you want to do a border. This is just an excellent, easy pattern. And it makes a wonderful baby Afghan because the holes are not that big. They're just a little bit, so you can see a little bit of texture in that stitch. Again, this is stitch pattern number 99. It's the cozy cluster stitch. Very easy to do when you're watching TV. These are the kind of patterns I like where you can just whip them right up. Now these Stitch of the Week patterns, again, are free on my website, creativegrandma.net. There'll be a link in the description box. And I wanted to tell everybody, you know, you may watch this video today and next week you might say, oh, I kind of wanted to learn that stitch. I just didn't get to it right away. If you go to the website, you can click on the name of the stitch and print the pattern out and download it. And then say when you're ready to start, just go back to the website, scroll down to the stitch you want to make and click the picture of the stitch, and that will take you right to the YouTube video. No more going to YouTube and trying to search for it. It's just so much easier. Go to the website, scroll down, click that picture, you'll have your pattern, and it'll start you right from the beginning and show you how to do this pattern. That's why I have the website, to make it easier for my subscribers to learn these patterns and go back, find that video, and to make the stitch. So I hope everybody had a good time with this stitch. I had a lot of fun doing it. I like the quick and easy stitch patterns because a lot of people like to make something in a hurry, because if you need a gift, you're looking for one of those fast stitch patterns, and this is it. So thank you, everybody. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my Stitch of the Week. And until next time, happy crocheting!